In a nation where healthcare is a commodity, John Q. Archibald is a devoted father facing an impossible choice. When the system fails his dying son, he's pushed to the breaking point, proving that a father's love knows no limits. This is his story. As John and his wife Denise are bombarded by news of a slowing economy, a quiet prelude to the personal financial storm that is about to hit. The crisis crashes into their lives when John discovers their car being repossessed. His protests are met with the cold reality that the bank's claim is stronger than his. He tries to explain their desperate decision to a frustrated Denise, revealing it was either lose the car or lose their house. The argument intensifies as John details his dwindling hours at the factory, highlighting his powerlessness in the face of a collapsing job market. At breakfast, their son Mike laments the loss, asking his father to do something, innocently believing his dad has the power to fix any problem. Despite their troubles, a moment of joy shines through as the family plays a singing game in the car, a poignant reminder of the love that binds them. In a touching gesture, Mike offers his father the $46 he saved, believing that in a family, everyone must stick together. As he drops him off, Mike reminds his dad not to say goodbye, establishing their family motto of "See you later," a phrase that will soon take on immense weight. John's search for a second job ends in disappointment, as a potential employer deems him overqualified, another door slamming shut. At Mike's baseball game, the family enjoys a fleeting moment of normalcy and excitement, cheering him on as he steps up to bat. The idyllic scene is shattered by John's frustration with the umpire, a brief flash of temper that foreshadows the much greater loss of control to come. But tragedy strikes in an instant. As Mike rounds the bases full of life just moments before he collapses. They rush Mike into the emergency room, begging for help as a nurse takes control amidst the chaos and panic. Doctors immediately work to stabilize him, shouting out dangerously low vitals as his terrified parents are asked about a medical history they never knew he had. As doctors fight for their son's life, John and Denise are pulled aside by a nurse to fill out paperwork, the cold bureaucracy of healthcare intruding on their terror. A nurse explains the complex monitoring equipment, revealing that a drop in blood pressure below 70 indicates heart failure. In a sterile office, Dr. Turner presents a chilling X-ray, showing how Mike's heart is tragically enlarged, nearly 3 times the size of a normal child's. The diagnosis is delivered with brutal finality. Corrective surgery is no longer an option, and Mike's heart is now useless. Dr. Turner lays out the stark reality. Their son will need a heart transplant, or he is going to die. The alternative to surgery is presented as a slow, inevitable decline, where Mike would simply fade away until one day he doesn't wake up. The hospital director, Rebecca Payne, suggests they might want to simply make Mike's last days happy and say goodbye, framing the transplant as a risky and perhaps futile choice. Faced with an unthinkable decision, John asks how long Mike has. The answer is chilling: months, weeks, or even just days. After John commits to the surgery, Dr. Turner says he would do the same, giving them a brief moment of hope before Rebecca Payne shifts the conversation to the cost. Just as they agree to proceed, Rebecca stops the doctor, stating that before Mike can be put on the recipient list, there are other financial considerations. John's faith in his insurance is quickly dismantled when Rebecca informs him his policy does not cover a procedure of this magnitude. The final staggering blow is delivered. The transplant surgery will cost a minimum of $250,000. The hospital's policy is a seemingly impossible hurdle. They require a 30% down payment before they will even place Mike's name on the list. The bureaucratic nightmare begins. John learns from his employer that the company switched to a cheaper insurance plan with significant restrictions. The crushing fine print is revealed. Because his hours were cut, John is classified as part-time, and his policy has a maximum payout of only $20,000. Seeking help from social services, they're told they don't qualify. They are trapped in the gap of being too poor to pay, but not poor enough for help. After waiting for his insurance appeal, Rebecca tells him he filed the wrong paperwork, a bureaucratic distinction that will cost him another 30 days he doesn't have. Desperate, John approaches a local news reporter, hoping that sharing his story on television might generate the support and funds they so desperately need. Denise calls John in a panic, delivering the devastating news that the hospital is releasing Mike that morning. Pushed to her breaking point, she screams at John over the phone, telling him he needs to stop talking and finally do something to save their son. In a final, desperate plea, John confronts Dr. Turner, swearing on his life that he will find a way to pay if only the doctor will give him a chance. With all legitimate options exhausted, John makes a fateful decision. He pulls a gun on Dr. Turner and declares that he is no longer asking. After securing the ER, a doctor warns him that he is on an irreversible course of action, but for John, it's already too late to turn back. He announces that the hospital is under new management, declaring free health care for everybody, and transforming his personal crisis into a protest against the system. The situation intensifies when an ambulance arrives with a critical gunshot victim, forcing John to decide whether to maintain his lockdown or allow the dying man inside. After letting the victim in, John orders the paramedics to leave, taking control of the man's fate and cementing his role as the ER's unwilling commander. Dr. Turner, a cardiac surgeon, initially refuses to operate, but John forces him at gunpoint, reminding him that a man is dying and it's his job to help. On the police radio with negotiator Frank Grimes, John makes his singular demand clear. He wants hospital administrator Rebecca Payne to put his son's name on the donor list. John angrily rejects Grimes' attempts to build rapport, telling him not to handle him, and warning that if his demand isn't met, there will be dead bodies. During a tense moment, another hostage, Lester, exposes the lies of an abusive man named Mitch, correctly deducing his girlfriend's injuries weren't from an accident. A security guard, worthless in his own eyes, can only watch as another hostage, Mitch, secretly arms himself with a scalpel and pepper spray, plotting his own escape. Inside, the hostages and a doctor begin a surprising discussion about the healthcare system, with the doctor revealing that HMOs often pay bonuses for not running expensive tests. Dr. Turner, fed up, snaps. He reminds everyone that while they debate the system's flaws, it is John who is holding the gun. After a tense back and forth, John agrees to release some hostages, but gives the police a 1-hour deadline. If his son isn't on the list by 5:15, someone inside will die. As John is distracted, Mitch attacks him with a scalpel and pepper spray, leading to a desperate struggle for the gun on the floor. In a moment of empowerment, Mitch's girlfriend Julie refuses to shoot John, instead turning the spray on Mitch and furiously kicking him for all the abuse she has suffered. Rebecca Payne defends her actions to the police, arguing that if the system is broken, people should call their congressman, not take hostages. In a manipulative move, Rebecca promises Denise she will put Mike on the list and cover all costs, securing Denise's cooperation to talk to John. On live television, John's friend Jimmy eloquently defends him, stating that the system, which values money over human life, is what backed John into a corner. Police Chief Gus Monroe overrides the negotiator's cautious approach, deciding to send in a sniper, arguing that he will use whatever works to end the standoff. Over a police-monitored phone call, Denise tells a stunned John that his demand has been met, and Mikey's name is officially on the donor list. A local news crew hacks the police's video feed, broadcasting the intensely private conversation between John, Denise, and their dying son to the world. With a weak voice, Mike asks his father why he isn't there, and a choked-up John can only say that he's tied up, but is very close by. In the most heart-wrenching moment, Mike asks his father if he is going to die, a question that momentarily silences John. As John is distracted by the emotional call, a hostage spots the glint of the sniper's scope on television and screams a warning. But it's too late. John is shot in the shoulder. As he falls, the sniper crashes down into the ER, where he is quickly overpowered by a wounded and enraged John. John drags the captured sniper to the door, accusing the negotiator of lying and trying to have him killed while he was talking to his son. In his final negotiation, John makes a new demand. He will release the sniper and surrender peacefully if the police bring his son Mike into the ER. Once Mike is inside, Dr. Turner delivers the grim news that the boy's heart is failing rapidly, and he won't survive more than a few hours without a transplant. With no other options, John makes the ultimate declaration. He will take his own life so that the doctors can take his heart and put it in his son. John argues that he and his son are a perfect biological matcher, same blood type, compatible tissue, and his adult heart will fit inside Mike's enlarged chest cavity. He rejects Dr. Turner's ethical objections, stating that if someone has to die for his son to live, it will be him, as it is a father's duty. Finally convinced, Dr. Turner agrees to perform the unprecedented surgery, reasoning that if there is a viable heart available, he cannot let it go to waste. John presents his handwritten will, stating his intention to leave his heart to his son, and asks for 2 hostages to sign as witnesses. In his final moments, John prepares his son for the surgery, telling a weak Mike that they have found him a new heart from a guardian angel. He gives his son a final piece of advice: "Your word is your bond, son. It's all you have." He makes a final promise to Mike, holding his hand and telling him, "I'll never leave you. I'm always with you right there," pointing to his heart. As he prepares to end his life, John reveals to a shocked hostage that the gun was empty the entire time, loaded with only a single bullet meant for himself. Just as John is about to pull the trigger, Rebecca Payne bursts in with incredible news. A matching B-positive heart from a donor has miraculously become available. As a helicopter arrives with the donor heart, John releases the remaining hostages and calmly walks out to surrender, his impossible mission finally complete. With John in custody, Denise watches through the operating room window as Dr. Turner successfully completes the transplant, and Mike's new heart begins to beat. As the story grips the nation, the debate rages. Is John Q a vigilante criminal, or a heroic father who was failed by the system? 3 months later, a jury delivers a mixed verdict, finding John not guilty of attempted murder, but guilty of kidnapping, a decision reflecting public sympathy. Before being taken away, John sees his son, healthy and strong. He tells him to take care of his mother, now the man of the house. As he is led to prison, John shares a final hopeful moment with his son. When Mike says goodbye, John corrects him with a smile. "See you later."